Hey guys, welcome back. This is the practice lessons playlist that I have for Adobe Illustrator CC, and it's been a little while since my last one. I went on a summer vacation, had the finals and everything wrap up from the summer course, and now I'm back at it in the fall course. Today is September 1st for anybody who's with me in my class. This is going to be the second lesson, so it doesn't matter what time it is for me, because you'll probably be watching this some other day. So happy whatever day that is. Today's a Tuesday here for me. We're going to start downloading the files, and that I've already pasted into the URL of my browser here, and I will download the files. And I will just save that into my desktop. Now the link for the files I will put in the description of the video. It's a zip file, and it just contains the template that we'll be using. So I will just go ahead and open that. So I switched over to my desktop. Here's the zip file. I'll simply double click it, and now I have both the zip file and the template file. So in order to open that, I will simply double click, and since I already have Illustrator open, it opened fairly quickly. Yours might not be that quick, but you can see it's the same kind of setup that we had for lesson 2.1, and this lesson is 2.2, selecting and moving objects parts with the direct selection tool. So as you see, it's the same kind of setup. We have instructions, and then we have some objects that you can move and work with, and then also there will be this example here. So as we take a look at the example, it says select a point with the direct selection tool and move it to the new place. So first thing we're going to do is get the direct selection tool, and that is over here on the toolbar. And as you see, it's the opposite of this black arrow, the selection tool that we use by default. It's called the direct selection tool, and you can either access that by clicking A on your keyboard or selecting the white arrow over there. Now I have the direct selection tool, and let's see what the instructions say. So using the direct selection tool, click A on the keyboard or choose the white arrow from the toolbar on the left. Practice by selecting individual anchor points in the objects below. Then move the point to the corresponding point in the new shape. It's the example to the right, we just showed you that. To select, simply click on the anchor point. And the thing is, as you're looking at it, you won't see the anchor points until you start selecting them per object. So to move, drag the cursor with your mouse or stylus, or use the arrow keys on the keyboard. To deselect, simply click away from the object on a blank area of the artboard or workspace. So let's try that. So let's click this object here, and we've got this anchor point. And let's drag that to the new area, or the new location. It's kind of wobbly here. I'm using my monster huge tablet, so it is a little more precise, and my hand is kind of shaky. That's my own fault, but yours may or may not be that imprecise. And you'll notice that they didn't snap to those locations. So if I have, yes, I have Smart Guides turned off. And so if Smart Guides are turned off, it'll be a little bit more difficult to line up the points to the new location. So in order to turn that on, you'll simply select Smart Guides, and then when you go back to it, there should be a checkbox, and you'll see that check mark right next to Smart Guides. Or you could use Control U or Command U on your PC or Mac respectively. And let me just undo that so that you can see what happens. There I deselected by clicking off onto the white space. So with Smart Guides on, you can see that the anchor is highlighted there with the green lettering as we get near it. And then we can drag and it'll snap to the new location. So just practice doing that, and you can undo if you'd like to keep practicing on each individual object. And to undo again is Control Z or Command Z, and then you can move on to the next one. So this one, we're going to move this point down here, this point up here, and now it is in the new location. This one, we're going to change all 5 of these points on the pentagram, or not the pentagram, pentagon. So we'll drag one, then we'll drag the next one, and the next one, 4 and 5. Okay, I think I bumped that last one. Let's try that again. There it goes. Okay, this one, it's just going to be this one on the side, and you can see something interesting with rounded shapes. Anything that has a curve is going to have these what are called handles, and so we'll just grab the anchor point and move that to the new location, leaving the handles alone. We'll go over handles in a later lesson. This tip of the heart, the points here on this semicircle. Now, as you can see, the curve did not maintain when we moved the points. So, I know I said we'd talk about handles on a later lesson. Let's talk about them right now. So the handle is what helps maintain the curvature of the line. And so you can just grab that handle, and if you maintain right there, and so grab the other handle and just pull it straight down, and now we have pretty close to where that curve should be. I can show you, like I said, in a later lesson we'll talk about that. So just get it as close as you can. I'm not expecting you to know how to use the handles yet. It's not an issue for this lesson. I probably should not have added that as a problem for this early on in the practice. We will discuss it later. Have no fear. You'll get very good at working with handles if you follow along. So let's continue so we can finish up this page, moving each point of the star. And 5. And this one has a few more, so I will speed this section up so you don't have to sit there and watch me do it all in real time. Okay. All right, that completes this page. Again, if you want to revise or redo this practice, simply close the file and reopen it. Because it is a template, it will not save or ask you to, well, if it asks you to save, you can save it as anything you want, or just simply close it without saving and then open the template again, and it won't affect any part of the template. So, all right. And again, to continue to the next part of the lesson, just scroll right to get to the next page, and we can either do that by the scroll button on the bottom, or dragging with the hand tool, or using these navigation, this navigation down here. So here we are on page 2, part 2, or lesson 2, part 2. And this one is selecting and moving lines or paths. So before we were doing anchor points with the direct selection tool, and now we will be using individual lines. So parts of the object as just a line, and it's pretty much the same process as the anchor points, except now instead of the anchor point we will select the line itself. So here's our example. You will select the path, And as you hover with your smart guides turned on, again, Control U on a Mac or Command U on a PC, and as you have them turned on, it should be checked next to smart guides, and that's under the View menu. So you'll click on that path and then drag it over to the new location, and it should look something like that. So we'll do that with this first one. I'll click on that path and then drag it over, and now it's in the new place. We'll do the same with this one. There we go. This one here. This one is a combination. We're gonna move this one this way and this one up, and it's pretty close. If you get it off of a little bit, don't worry about it. We're not going for precision at this point. We're just simply trying to match as closely as possible. And so, whoops, you can move it back. If you are using smart guides and you get close but you miss a little bit, you can always move it back or do the undo, Control U, Command U, excuse me, Control Z. Why do I keep saying Control U? That'll do your smart guides. Command Z or Control Z on your PC to undo. And that looks just like this. And then you can grab that point or that line again. Whoops. Until you get it right. There we go. And I'll do this one again. My stylus on my big monster size tab is kind of wonky here, and it's acting up, so pardon my wobbliness. And so this one, you just kind of figure out what it is you're moving rather than moving the whole thing. It's just these three lines. This one will be just this straight line. And there we go. So after you're done with this lesson, again, you can clear it, you can undo, or you can move on to the next one, and I will use the navigation down here to go to lesson or the page 3. And this one is multiple parts. So instead of just a single line or a single point, anchor point, you're going to select multiple. So there are a couple of ways to do that. You can either, and you see here, this one, it selected these three anchor points and then moved them down to this area. And so the end looks like this, kind of a sideways paper kite kind of looking shape. Anyway, so we will grab this first one, we'll select it, and then we can hold down Shift. So we select, we click on the points while holding Shift. So here I'll hold down Shift, click on the second point and the third point, and then the important thing is to do before you start moving anything, let go of Shift. And you'll see this change down here, this indicator. It goes, when you're holding Shift, it'll be toggle direct selection, because we have the direct selection tool selected, and then when you let go of Shift, it goes back to the direct selection tool so that you can move those objects. And why would you want to do that? I'll show you. So I have these three selected. If I hold down Shift again, what's going to happen is I will deselect that point when I try to move it, and I don't want to do that. So I'll hold down, make sure that I have Shift, have all the points that I want to select as selected, and you can tell the difference. They are this darker, the darker color versus the lighter unfilled color there on the anchor point itself, and you can see it right there versus right here. So then I will just start to drag and put them where I need to go. Okay. So we'll do the same here, and in this case we want this point, hold down Shift, get this second point, let go of Shift, move them this way. Now there's another way you could do that. You could simply deselect everything and then drag a selection around these 2 points. And you can see that these 2 points are selected and these 2 aren't. So now I just pull that selection over there. Alright, so let's look at this one. We're going to do 1, 2, 3, these 2 anchor points here, and this one down here. So I'm just holding down Shift while I select them, let go of Shift, and then move them into place. Let's do the same down here. Now this one's a little different. This one has 1 point going off the one way, and then these 2 points are going to come up the other way. So you notice I clicked the one and moved it, and then dragged a selection around. Do that again. Drag the selection around these 2 points, and then I can just simply move them over this way. This one is going to do a similar. We're going to drag here, move those 2, drag here, move those 2, and you notice I didn't have Shift, otherwise I would have selected the entire object. Okay, this one, I could select both the points, or I can just simply do like we did on our last assignment and drag that line. Okay. And then this one, I can, you can do whatever you want. You can do click and then hold Shift and then drag a selection. So there's multiple ways of selecting multiple parts. And then just make sure I let go of Shift and drag it over. Oops, I'm a little, whoops, now I've done it. Let's undo that twice. All right, and drag it into place, and there it is. So you can toggle select by holding Shift. You can grab the line, and remember, what is a line? A line is the shortest distance between 2 points. So if I grab the path here, this line in between these 2 points, I'm going to pull both of those 2 points along with it. So let's make sure that is accurate. There we go. This one is going to be all 3 of these points. I can select those 2, hold down Shift, select the third, let go of Shift, and move this down there to where it belongs. This one, I think I'm just going to grab the line. And why do we have all sorts of funkiness? Well, let's undo that. I'm going to select everything. That's why. And it collected both the anchor points and the handles that were attached to those curves. So this one, I want to select both this side of the curve and this point here, so I'm going to just drag a selection around it and drag it over there, and do the opposite with this side and drag it over there. Oops. You'll just see that I get some jitter down there near the bottom of the screen, so I apologize for that. Alright, so we're done with this lesson. To continue, we will scroll to the right to get to the next page. We can either do that with the scroll bar here or simply clicking the next artboard button. Alright, so this final part of the lesson is going to be selecting objects with a fill color and with no fill color. And you'll notice that there are some different things that we get to do with the direct selection tool. The direct selection tool, for example, or take a look over here at the examples. When you select on inside of the interior point of the direct selection, or of an object with the direct selection tool, it will select that whole object. And you can see that because all of these points, all of the lines, everything is selected by clicking on that fill color. So we're going to do that and then deselect. That's all we're doing. We're only selecting and deselecting. The other thing we can do is select by holding Option to use the group selection tool. So Alt on a Mac, Option on a PC, or excuse me, Alt on a PC, Option on a Mac. And that will, if you click on the line, that will select the entire object by clicking on the path. And then the other option is to select the center point. And you can see the center point with the, as you hover over it when you have the smart guides turned on, or another way, and I'll show you that here in just a minute. So let's go through and select each object individually and then deselect. So we'll start with these blue ones, and as you see, if we just click on the fill, we have the whole thing selected, no problem. Let's just deselect. We've got the direct selection tool, and so we can select and deselect, select and deselect, select and deselect. Another way we can select objects is to drag a selection around it. And so we can drag a selection around, and then we don't have to deselect, and we can actually get multiples, but we'll show you that here in just a minute. So clicking on the fill color will select these objects. Okay, now these ones here also are objects that we can select, but we don't have the fill color because they are no fill objects. If you click on the line, you'll see that there is no fill color. There's this line, and so there's no fill color in these objects. So in order to select them, we're going to hold down the Alt on a Windows or Option on a Mac, and as you see, it changes to the group selection tool. You see that by the indicator down at the bottom of the screen. And if we click on a point or a path, now you see that the entire object is selected. And that is how the group selection tool works. And all you need to get to the group selection tool is the direct selection tool, and hold down Alt or Option, and when I let go, you see it changes back to the direct selection tool. The other way to get to the group selection is to pull out on this flyout where the direct selection tool is, and you see it has no shortcut key because it is a part of an option for the direct selection tool. All right, so back to A for the direct selection tool, and then hold down Alt. Let's deselect first. Hold down Alt or Option to select. And if you are holding down both the Alt and the Shift button, well, then you can add to the selection. But let's just go with the direct selection tool, holding down Alt, click on the path, and you can select. Okay? So the other option we can do is select the center point if the object has a center point. And as we have smart guides on, all we do is get near that center, and we can see there the green indicates that we have the center. Simply click that. We've got the entire circle object. Let's deselect, and here is the center of this rounded square, and we can click that. Again, you see the green line or the green word that says center, and that's our smart guides turned on. We can do it here on this semicircle or this half circle. I guess that's what a semicircle is, yes. And even this really weird shape. Now, there's a problem. This one does not have a center. So we can drag a selection around it. That's our other option. Make sure you get the whole object inside, and now you have it all selected. So that's the selecting whole objects with fill and no fill color. Another way to get this one would have been the direct selection tool, holding down Alt and click on the line. You'll get that whole thing. Okay, so part 2 of this, or step 2 of this part, is select multiple objects with the direct selection tool by holding Shift. So let's do that. Let's go back up to the blue ones here. Click in the blue fill color, hold down Shift. You see it changes to toggle direct selection down here in the indicator. And so we can toggle to add this one, and then holding down Shift still, we can select that one and that one. And we've got all 4 of those objects selected simply by holding down Shift. Let's let go of Shift, deselect so we have no objects selected. And again, we're going to use the selection or the direct selection tool option to give us the group selection tool. Click that first one, hold down Shift, and that will toggle our group selection. So now we have the star and that. Just be careful when you're doing that not to move your cursor, because if you move your cursor while you have the Alt button held down, you make a copy. So be very careful of that. So we'll click this first one. I'm sorry, hold down Alt to click the first one. Get with the group selection tool, hold down Shift to get the second one, Shift to get the third one, Shift to get the fourth one. Okay, and then you can move them around by letting go of both Alt and Shift. If you want to constrain their movement, just like we learned with the, actually I think that's the next lesson. I'll show you that in a minute. So we can move them around as long as they're selected, and then we'll deselect. Okay, now this one we'll click on Center and hold down Shift and click on Center for the rounded square. Hold down Shift for the semicircle, and remember we couldn't do it. We couldn't find a center on this object, so let's hold down Shift and drag a selection around that shape. And now we can do that as well. Okay, so the final step here on this part is let's try to view the objects in outline mode. So in order to do that, use keyboard shortcut Control-Y on a PC or Command-Y, and there we go, to turn on outline mode. And you can see all of these images all kind of disappeared, but that's fine. But we have the objects here that we need to be concerned about. Then select the objects by clicking the center with using the direct selection tool. You may notice some objects do not have a center point. We will address this in the next lesson. Change back to GPU or preview mode by clicking Control-Y or Command-Y. So first we'll notice that, hey, all of these objects that we saw used to have a fill color, they still do. We're just looking basically at the skeleton. We're looking at the skeleton of each object, the outline, that's why this is called outline mode. So the outline, which is just the path and the outline that shape makes. And you can see these pentagons don't have a center point. Neither does this star, and neither does this circle with the chord cut off here, as we've already experienced. But these other ones have a center point, and we can select these objects by clicking the center point, as we have had some experience already. So that's just one thing. If you need to get a hold of an object and you can't find any other way to get it, try looking at it in outline mode. And that again is Control-Y or Command-Y, and it's just a toggle like a light switch. You just go and click it or click it, and you can go back and forth. Okay? All right, so this is the end of the lesson on the direct selection tool. Thank you for your time and attention, and join me very shortly for lesson 2.3, which is going to be discussing which one do you choose when you have these three options: the selection tool, the direct selection tool, and the group selection tool. And that will be our next lesson, 2.3, and check that out shortly. Thank you. Bye.